What's up, YouTube? This is 2 Raw 4 TV. So today, Game 7 between the upstart Dallas Mavericks and the heavily favored Phoenix Suns. All right, Phoenix came into this contest. Most people expected maybe one victory for Dallas. Phoenix was just going to steamroll this team. That has not been the case. This series has gone to full 7. And this game, to me, is a legacy game. All right. In particular, for Chris Paul. All right, Chris Paul earlier in this playoffs was sensational. Had many great vintage late game performances. That 14 for 14 performance, big four quarters as we've known Chris Paul to do. Now he's 37 years old. I don't expect him to play at a high level all the time. This is not the Chris Paul from Lob City. Definitely not the Chris Paul from the Oklahoma City Hornets days. And yes, I said Oklahoma City because you got to remember after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans was uninhabitable for a while, so the team moved to uh, Oklahoma City for a couple of seasons, moved back to New Orleans, and that opened the path for the Sonics to fold, and then the creation of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's how that, if you remember, that's how it went about. But anyway, be that as it may, Chris Paul has had 3 consecutive poor or mediocre performances. Um, Now, on my platform, I made a lot of excuses for Chris Paul over the years, right? Whether it's injuries, whether it's, poor play on his part, I would attribute it to, different things, nagging injuries, uh, you know, but at this point, if Chris Paul, it's not just him, but still, he's the leader of this team. He may not be their best player, but he's their leader. He is the driving force behind this team. You can't just get all the credit when they win and you play well, but when you play poorly, it can't work like that. If Chris Paul comes out here and has another poor performance in a must-win game, then I'm gonna have to reevaluate how I look at Chris Paul historically. He's gonna still be a top 10 all-time point guard, but I'm just gonna have to drop him a little bit. Like right now, I have him in the precipice of being like in the top 4. I might have to. I mean, if they go on to win a championship, then I might have to nudge him up one more spot. But if he loses or if they get eliminated, and in this window of opportunity, he's not taking advantage of it. Remember last year, after they got to that 2-0 lead against the Bucks, they lost 4 consecutive games. He played poorly most of those last 4 games. I made excuses for him then. Can't do it anymore. If they lose, might have to bring them down, the bottom part of the top 10. That's just my personal opinion. Luka Doncic, if he's able to lead the Dallas Mavericks to the Western Conference Finals after never having get out of the first round before, I'm gonna have to seriously look at his career and make comparisons to LeBron James. I know some people think that's a little bit outlandish, but not really when you really look at it, man. Um, LeBron went to the finals his 4th year. Luka Doncic has his team on the verge of the Western Conference Finals in his 4th year. Uh, a lot of people say LeBron didn't have no help, but I tell you what, Luka doesn't have a Mo Williams or a Zydrunas Ilgauskas or a Drew Gooden or a Doniel Marshall or a Larry Hughes, or a guy that could shoot the rock from outside like Daniel Boobie Gibson. Got to remember those late 2000s Cavs teams were among the top 2, 3 in the NBA every year in both defense and outside shooting. One year they led the league in 3-point shooting, if I'm not mistaken. So LeBron had a little bit more help than a lot of people like to admit. Luka is playing without his second best player, Tim Hardaway Jr. All right. So as much as Luka stands to improve on the other end of the court. If he were to make improvements on the other end of the court on the defensive end and just be at least a little bit above average, Luka could be a top 2 player in the game, in my opinion, man. But Luka really goes up if they can go to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's going to be Luka mania. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.